Hey everybody, welcome. It's Ken McElroy and Danielle.
Hello.
So I am very excited about our guest, Hal Elrod. Hal, nice to meet you. Nice to see you.
Ken and Danielle, it is a pleasure. I have heard nothing but good things. Thank you so much for having me today.
What I found most interesting, and I read your book years ago, and I reread it, of course, as, getting ready for this today. You've had an interesting life so far. At 20 years old, hit by a drunk driver and left dead. You had cancer, which you overcame, and you've had this great success of highs and lows of being an entrepreneur. This book, Miracle Morning, is now turned into a movie. So I saw your trailer. You've got a lot going on, man.
Yeah, it's interesting. I grew up in a small town, was really a mediocre kid. I didn't get good grades. I wasn't an athlete. I don't think anybody when I was young would have guessed that I would go, have this life. And of course, nobody predicts a head-on collision with a drunk driver. You cancer, you think, well, that happens to other people, but I'm healthy and, I'm not going to have to worry about that. And so I'll tell you this, my friend, I don't know if you know Jordan Harbinger, he hosts the Jordan Harbinger Show podcast. And I had never heard it said this way, but when he opened up our interview, he said, Hal, I'll tell you, I was thinking about you. And he said, you are both the luckiest and the unluckiest person that I know. And I thought, that's a good way to put it. I never thought of it that way.
I did a video, on Be, Do, Have, right? Be,
yes,
Do, Have.
There you go.
And I did that because I studied it, not because I created it. But I think a lot of people, they focus on the have. This person has a nice home, they have a nice business, they have a nice life, they have a nice car, whatever it is, the havingness. But as you know, that if they focus on the being, the be, then things actually start to work out, and then you can figure out what you have to do to be, right? So the be, do, have. And I think a lot of people just kind of hang out in the have part, and this resonates through your whole book.
Yeah. Well, I think that if you look at other people, which we all do, and you see things that you envy, right? Lifestyle that you envy, success that you envy, you immediately think, okay, what's the fastest way to get there? What could I do to get where they are? But if you don't focus on becoming, then the doing is always a struggle because you're doing from a position of not being the best version of who you can be, right? You're doing from a place of deficiency, if you will, right? But when you become more, that's why you take somebody like a Robert Kiyosaki, or you take somebody that's really successful and you could take away all their success, but because of who they are, who they've become, they would get it back very quickly, right? You could drop them into another venture, and because of the mindset that they have, not the things that they do, but the mindset that leads to what they do, because of the habits they've developed over the years, because of the skills, right? Those translate into anything that we touch. And they call it the Midas touch, right? Everything that person touches turns to gold. It's because of who that person has become, not who they were born as, who they became through, daily personal development and growth and life experience.
So they say that you need to start somewhere, right? So I think a lot of times people make too big of goals for themselves, I'm going to run 5 miles a day, and they don't even exercise yet, right? To motivate yourself, it's just to do something, right? So if you make a goal of running 5 miles and you're like, I'm not going to do this, just get out of bed and walk a mile. Do you subscribe to that kind of thinking?
Yeah. In fact, I'm so glad you said that. It's another super important, what's been a really important lesson that I learned when I was young. I read a book by John Maxwell called Failing Forward. And what you just said, he talks about it. He says, most people want to feel their way into action, right? They're sitting there going, well, if I feel like doing it, then I'll do it, right? Or I wish I had more motivation. I wish I felt like it. I don't feel like it. And he said, that's not how motivation works. He said, nobody sits around on the couch and has motivation come grab them by the arm and say, here we go. He said, no, you have to actually get off the couch and you have to do take the baby step toward the thing that you want to do. And so, and because you act your way into feeling, you just take that baby step and then it produces the motivation. So like you said, if you hate running and you want to go running, like I actually read a book called The Non-Runner's Marathon Trainer because I hated running, but I committed to run an ultra marathon publicly so that I would be accountable. and I hated running. So this book was like to teach you, if you hate running, here's how you do it. And that was it. Day one, go for a 5-minute walk. Right. And I think trying to remember that. But it basically was like, go for 5, like, it's easy. Just get out the front door, go walk, and then come home. And you go, that was easy. And then day 2, do it again. And then day 3, jog the last minute of that 5-minute walk. Like you follow how it's easy, And so I always say, like, if you want to get in the best shape of your life, lift weights, go to the gym, all you have to do is pack a gym bag, have your car keys set out with your gym bag, and have a timer that goes off that says, get in the car and drive to the gym.
This is a real estate channel, as you know, and there's a lot of real estate investors. The reason why I thought this would be so good is I try to talk about mindset with people. What they want to know is, where do I buy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think they understand that the process, the individual, the Kiyosaki, or myself, there's so much personal development behind my culture of my business. There's so much personal development behind my wealth. There's so much personal development behind my health. There's so many things that go into the whole recipe. And I think what people want to know oftentimes on a channel like this is just tell me where to buy and if it's a good deal. It's not that, it's a very, very well-rounded personal development piece. And like going back to what we started with on the being, you have to mold the being, and then you will have. Wouldn't you agree with that?
That's how every sales record I ever broke was because of the exact same mindset. I am committed to selling blank or to breaking this record. No matter what, there is no other option. The way that affirmations are taught, I think, is really, it does a disservice to people because we're taught these one of 2 problems. Number one, we're either taught to lie to ourselves, right? And just tell yourself, if you want to be a millionaire, just tell yourself, I am a millionaire. I am a millionaire until you believe it. Like, that's not how money works, right? In fact, that's counterproductive because now you're tricking yourself into thinking that you're already a millionaire and now you lose the drive to become a millionaire, right? The second problem with affirmations is that we're taught to use this flowery passive language that gives us relief in the moment, but is again counterproductive. So for example, you may have heard the affirmation, something along the lines of, I am a money magnet. Money flows into my life effortlessly and in abundance, right? That's not how money works. And now why would someone use that affirmation? It's because if your bank account is low, if you're struggling financially, then sitting there affirming, hand on the heart, I'm a money magnet. Oh, that feels better than the stress I had a minute ago. Oh, money's going to flow into my life effortlessly. Oh God, that feels good. Okay. Oh, and I have so much abundance headed my way. Oh, right? It's this delusional relief of your financial burden, but it doesn't produce results. So if you listen to the way that I word an affirmation, don't listen to the affirmation around cancer. Listen to the formula, the template. I am committed to blank. No matter what, there is no other option. If you affirm, I am committed to buying X amount of properties this year, no matter what, there is no other option. I am committed to focusing an hour a day on my real estate business until I achieve $100,000 a year passive income. No matter what, there is no other option. And you affirm that every single day with such conviction that you literally reprogram your subconscious mind to think and live in alignment with what you are affirming. That's how you apply it to real estate or any area of your life.
That's right.
So I really like that because I'm kind of a person that has always hated affirmations because, you have that, right? Like I'm going to be a millionaire, or you're so beautiful, but I like what you're saying because now you're basically saying your goal out loud. And then in your mind, you're saying you're going to achieve that goal. And then what you do every day is going to kind of get you there. So that makes more sense to me than, like you said, these fluffy affirmations that really don't really do anything. The things that you teach in your book, they help people visualize themselves getting there. So our friend Seth Joyner, who is a pro football player, Ken and him were talking about, I think it was like one of the best plays he ever made in his career or whatever. And he said he had been there 100 times before.
Yeah.
And so what he meant by that is he had visualized that exact thing happening, exactly what he was going to do. So when the opportunity came to him and the ball was in that same position, he did exactly what he had envisioned doing 100 times before. And it was really eye-opening to me as a very logical person. And Seth's more logical than me. So I was, that was very interesting to me that with that play, he had been there before, but you can relate that to your own life because if you visualize in the morning of what you're going to do when that opportunity comes your way, then you'll be ready for it when it actually does.
What I did, so visualization for a lot of people, they find it challenging because it feels kind of elusive and they go, well, what do I picture? And am I doing it right? And here's so kind of like affirmations, I think visualization has also been taught in a way that's counterproductive. We are taught to visualize the end result, period. That's it, right? The movie The Secret made vision boards very popular. And again, that's the end result. It's you're creating a vision board of all these, of what the house is going to look like or the $1 million, right? You're visualizing the end goal, crossing that finish line of the marathon or, the proverbial marathon, whatever area of life you apply that to. Here's how I did it. Every morning using the visualization, here's what I would visualize. And again, so apply this to whatever your daily activities are that you need to do to achieve your goals. So instead of I would spend the first minute, I'd visualize for about 5 minutes during my miracle morning. The first minute, I would visualize the finish line of the Atlantic City Marathon. That's what we ran. And I Googled a picture of it, so I knew what it looked like. I'd visualize crossing that finish line and I'd flood my body with the emotions that I was going to feel, right? The value in that is that does compel you to want to do whatever you need to do that day to get to that end vision. But if you leave your visualization there, it's counterproductive because you're tricking your brain into thinking that you're going to cross that finish line inevitably, like it's as good as done, which it's not. You got to actually train for it, right? So the next 4 minutes of my visualization is, and I believe this is the most important way to visualize, it was visualizing myself step by step doing the thing I needed to do that day that would ensure that I was on track to eventually cross that finish line. So here's what it looked like. I would close my eyes and I would picture the alarm clock on my phone going off at 7 a.m., which is when I had scheduled to run every day. And I would then picture myself reaching down, turning off the alarm. I would see myself like I was watching like a security camera on my wall, walk into my bedroom. I would visualize putting on my running clothes and my shoes vividly. Then I would visualize heading through my front living room, through my front door, opening the door. And then one of the most important parts, because this is where the pavement was right in front of me, and I could either go back inside or head out, I would visualize myself smiling, and I would actually smile in real time. And I would say things to myself like, I'm going to crush this run today. This is, I can do this. I am stronger than my resistance, right? I would use kind of some affirmations, and then I would visualize myself hitting the pavement. The entire point of visualization, though, is creating a compelling emotional experience so that when it was 7 o'clock, instead of resisting going for the run, I would do exactly what I visualized.
Wow. So this has really, really been great. Hal, what is the best way we can support you? And, what's the best way people can reach out to you? Obviously, need to go check out your books and your movie. And I know you've got all kinds of cool stuff going on. And we'll put this in the show notes as well.
Yeah. I mentioned to you in the beginning, I've as an entrepreneur, you're always trying new stuff and you're getting distracted with this cool opportunity. And I just keep coming back to nothing I've ever created in my life, professionally at least, has made a bigger impact for people than the Miracle Morning. And so, in terms of supporting me, but really for anybody listening, there's two ways to start: miraclemorningbook.com for the book, miraclemorningmovie.com for the movie. And the movie's on all streaming platforms: Amazon, iTunes, Vimeo, all of that. But yeah, and miraclemorning.com is the hub for all of it, of course. If you want to join our community or find the book or the movie. But that I think is the best way for people to get started. And I check into the Miracle Morning community is a Facebook group with 330,000 people from around the world, and I'm in there every single day commenting and engaging and so on and so forth. So I'd love to see you in the Miracle Morning community.
I appreciate everything that you've done for people, and I can't wait to see where you take it next.
Well, Ken and Danelle, both of you, this has been such a pleasure, such an honor. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hal.
Thanks, Hal.